Hi, Steve.
Hi, Jim.
I'm looking behind you there, and man, those shelves are starting to thin out a little bit, aren't they?
Well, at least something in this house is thinning out. And hello and welcome once again to your favorite podcast, Two Guys Talking About Records. The the podcast where two guys just kind of ramble on a lot about records, but we're passionate, and
Yep.
it's the passion that counts. I am Steve, a record collector.
And my name's Jim, and I own a record store, but I've been known to dabble in record collecting. And Steve, yeah, I noticed, like I said, the shelves are you're packing up stuff for a lateral move almost, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's basically like a lateral move, but it has started. We sign on the house tomorrow, and it's yeah. I want to move instead of having movers do my records. I don't care about the rest of the house, but damn it, I'm moving my records. And I mean, they're heavy. You know
Oh
that,
yeah, oh
Jim,
yeah.
how heavy. And my back isn't great, but sometimes we have to get through that pain to do what's important.
Work through it.
And
And I want to talk to you a little bit more about this and the process you're going through, especially because a big part of this move, as we've talked about in previous episodes, has been your effort to purge. And yeah, we've been texting and talking a little bit over the past week or so about your purge, and
Mhm.
you sent me a little list and said, "What do you think?" So I want to talk to you a little bit more about that for folks that may be facing a similar situation that could be helpful.
Yeah, yes, it's painful, painful.
Yes. And the main topic today, and we'll get to this a little bit later on in the podcast, is I found something interesting. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks back, Steve, that I had a small collection come into the store of new-ish. I always call it gently used newish vinyl when I put it out. But this was stuff from the 2000, maybe late 2000 aughts, six and seven, onward through the 2010s. So not brand new, but not also previous century vintage, previous,
Mhm.
Um, so I found it interesting when I got cataloging these things, and the prices on some of them from that era were stunning to me. And I talked to you about this, and I want to get into that a little bit because I think we've got kind of a lost decade in there that may prove fruitful for collectors if you're willing to do some digging.
It you're right, and it's not every album from that
No,
decade, but
no.
there are definitely some that have gotten just, I mean, shot up. They're much more expensive than an original, which is just
It's,
nuts.
it surprised me. So we'll get into that and your purge here in a little bit. But before we do that, as we do in each and every week when we kick off the episode, we like to talk about our pickups and additions to the collection, which you're purging and adding. So it's a sum zero, I think, in your case, Steve, especially
People
after
keep
Record Store Day a
commenting
couple
on
of
my
weeks back.
channel. I go, are you really? Is that courage? Are you just trying to make you take one so you can put one in right now?
I think what they call it is two steps forward, one step back, or maybe it's the
Yeah,
opposite for
yeah.
you. I don't know.
I I think they're right. Well, it hasn't gotten better, Jim. So there.
Well, in some
Between
cases, it's
record
the effort
store
that
day.
counts. It's the effort that counts, Steve. Good
Yeah.
intentions and all. So,
That,
well, what do you got this
well,
week?
a brand new album from the desert blues group Tanarwin. And they sing in Terang. I have quite a few albums from Tanarwin. They started in the early aughts. Uh, they are actually it's a group of guys that were rebel fighters. They started with Libya, hired them in because they don't really have a country; they're more nomadic, and so then they forget Libya. It did other fighting. They said, oh, let's just form a band instead. So
So,
it's the kind of stuff you do, Jim.
I guess I maybe if a reviewer were to kick in, you'd call them killer tracks still, or would you avoid that?
Yeah, that's a good one. Uh, I really enjoy tonight. The Desert Blues is such a great guitar work.
Hmm.
Really is wonderful stuff. This isn't their best album. I liked it. It was good. I thought it was more mellow than some of the others. They have some additional vocalists happening. Still wonderful guitar work going on. Uh, Very enjoyable. It's just not, I think, the best Tenarwin album for those of you that love Tenarwin. And
Okay.
I could totally be saying that wrong too, Jim, for all
You
I
could.
know.
I'll check that for you later.
Okay. In fact, there's probably no doubt I'm saying it wrong because that's just what I do. I'm going to show you what I picked up at a record show a couple weeks ago. And the first one is one of those I peed my pants type moments. You see it. And the older
Uh-oh.
you get, the more often that happens. So it's okay. An original Betty Davis.
Wow.
And this is Betty Davis's first album. And I think she's one of the greatest funk singers of all time. For those of you that don't know who Betty Davis is, she married Miles Davis. And she told Miles Davis that he was just looking kind of lame. He's out there in his suits playing, just the stuff from the early 60s. And she got all over him, says, you know what? You need to update your wardrobe. And she brought in music like from Hendrix and stuff
Yeah.
and had him start listening to this. And well, she was a lot younger than Miles and hotter than all get out. So Miles listened. Now, their marriage didn't last very long at all because she's a pretty strong-headed woman. And Miles liked things a certain way. He did not really want a strong-headed woman, but she kept his name. So Miles did get into the whole funk fusion kind of stuff thanks to Betty Davis. But Betty Davis, she put out this album in 1973. It was her first one that she put out. She has a voice. She growls. She just has this growling type voice. Uh, I mean, I just incredible, great funk. Her first two albums are outstanding. The other one's not as good, but the first two. And so to get an original of this, absolutely over the moon.
Cool.
Very happy. I have a reissue. I still have the reissue, but that one sounds great. It's not bad at all. I found this. It's an original Spaceman 3,
Wow.
and this is Dream Weapon. Again, like the other one, I have this already. Price tag still on there, $17.99. I paid more.
Just a little.
A whole lot more. Yeah. But it is Spaceman 3. Just this is very, very drony. More so than maybe some others with the guitar kind of going, not as much vocal, a little more subdued. And I think we're getting toward the end of the group, but Dream Weapon is the name of it. Very happy to find an original of that because I never see Spaceman 3 originals,
Nope.
except for one that I bought at Radio Wasteland.
Yep, that one, and subsequently flooded, and
Yeah, yeah. But that was my introduction to him.
yep.
Also, there was this original Spaceman 3 recurring. So I picked up that at the record show also. Now I was trying to decide between this one and the other one. And when you can't make a decision, you just buy them both and say, I'll worry about the whole price of it later.
There you go.
Yep. And nice. This one has a nice inner sleeve to it.
Cool.
Again, this is a really good Spaceman 3. The first couple are the best, but I really do enjoy recurring. Good stuff. Good to pick up. Couple other things. Here was one. Is only available in the UK. Came out. It's a 12-inch Cramps Crusher. And this is from 1981. So you have Congo Powers is in here on guitar. Nick Knox is still there with drums. And each side has two songs. We have a Save It, New Kind of Kick, and the Crusher is on here. Actually, maybe the Crusher is only one, but cool. Just I've never seen this before on IRS. And, when I look in Discogs, it just shows UK only.
You have to find it.
Yep, nice to have in the collection. And the final one was from the group The DBs. Their first album is a classic of the '80s. I think one of those top-notch jangle pop albums. I believe this is their third. I think I have two of theirs.
What's it called? Like This?
Yeah, I should tell you that. Yes, yeah, it is. It's something like this, Jim.
Okay.
Yes, it is like this. And I, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a DB's completist. It wasn't super expensive. I got deals on all these albums, which was good. They were willing to deal. So yeah, I just picked it up. It's a good album.
Cool.
It's not their first album, but their first album is just a classic. So still enjoyable. DB's great jangle pop of the '80s.
Well, very cool. I only have a couple to show off. One was a new release a few weeks back, and I got a couple for the store and managed to move them, so I had to wait to get mine. It's the story of my life when you're an owner and you only get a couple of things here. But kind of going back to your funk earlier, we talked about this, and this is the reissue of the Budos Band, and they're self-titled. I believe this originally came out in 2005. Yep, 2005 on the original of that on Daptone Records. Discogs calls this funk, soul, funk, and Afrobeat. And the Budos Band, if you're unfamiliar, these guys are an American. They're all instrumental, by the way. They are an instrumental funk band, Afrobeat band from Staten Island, New York. And Discogs says they're influenced by 1960s and 70s Afro soul. And the band actually originated just really kind of as a jam session going forward on this. This one was reissued, as I mentioned, not too far back. Their iconic debut album, very cool cover, and released on transparent lava colored vinyl, which really looks just red to me. It's
lava.
Translucent lava colored vinyl, but it just says red, or it says that, but it's kind of red. Instrumental stuff, I really enjoy this. I've had some Budos Band in the store before, but I've never really, I've moved them through. I didn't catch them. And this popped up in the reissues, and I thought, you know what? I listened to it again, and I thought, this is good. I'm going to get one for me down the line. And I did. But yeah, very just cool instrumental groove music, great for background. You can just kind of put that on and jam and
you're right. Yep,
next
good
up,
stuff.
Yes, indeed. Next up, I picked up a Discogs. I had to go to Discogs for something, Steve. I do that occasionally when I get a bug up my backside on something, and I cannot find it. Yep, and I can't find it from my distributors. You know that I like the group Tripping Daisy from the '90s, and I've got a couple of their albums, one OG and a couple of MOV reissues of theirs. Well, after Tripping Daisy, I think it was their guitarist died. I'm trying to remember if it was the guitarist, but somebody did. They disbanded the group, and Tim DeLaughter, the leader of Tripping Daisy, kind of moved on afterwards and created a band called the Polyphonic Spree, which were really kind of a symphonic, very lighthearted, almost, I don't want to say orchestral, but a choir group. It really, they became a choir group with the robes and everything. And it's cool stuff, but nothing I ever really needed on vinyl. They did that Night, Light, and Day, the movement number, whichever.
You said that.
Yep, very cool stuff. Anyway, I found an album, and it's very reflective, so I got to be careful here. It's the Polyphonic Spree called Afflatus. And I think we have got a colored vinyl version of this as well, kind of a green swirl colored vinyl. So Afflatus, and I had to go look this up. It means a sudden, strong, creative impulse or divine inspiration that sparks artistic, poetic, or intellectual creation. That feels a little deep. But if you're familiar with what DeLaughter did with Tripping Daisy and in Polyphonic Spree, that kind of makes sense. So Afflatus came out in 2021, so it's not very old, and it's a cover album. It is all cover tunes on here, and it came actually with a little sheet. Now, 2021, I think there was something going on culturally in 21 called COVID. And this insert says every band has a COVID story. The Polyphonic Spree recorded theirs, and so that to kind of get through. And this is a great big little essay piece just about how the album came together, a little bit of history on the band and what they did, and then a little listing of the tracks on there. So very cool stuff. And the reason, Steve, and I'm just gonna let in on this, the reason that I found this, I was unfamiliar with it, and I found it and saw it after it was they did a cover of Rush's "The Spirit of Radio." It's, again, my favorite Rush album. Permanent Waves is my favorite album. It's one of my favorite songs on there. And they do a decent job covering it. It's not an easy one to cover, so it's got that really Polyphonic Spree light heartedness on there. But digging into this even further, there's some fun stuff on here. They do a cover of "Don't Change" by INXS. "She's a Rainbow" from the Stones. They dove into that one. The Bee Gees' "Run to Me," the Porpoise song, which I think was made more famous by the Monkees, but it was actually written by Carole King and her husband and Goffin and King, if I'm remembering that correctly. Let's see, Barry Manilow is on here. ABBA, "The Visitors," Paul McCartney's and Wings' "Let 'Em In," and then Rush, "The Spirit of Radio" on there as well. The liner notes say that they really kind of aimed for songs that were important to them. You might relate to this from AM radio, mostly AM radio. "Spirit of Radio," not quite. That's an FMer side, but still, I think it counts through there. So
was that still a choir? So the whole choir is on that? I didn't know if they were even around still.
They aren't. I don't believe they are, but I'd have to go back and reread this. Yes, it has got a good section of the choir, violin, trumpets, vocals. There's a lot there. There's woodwind and brass on here, cello. So yeah, French horn. It's a very orchestral version, but in that Polyphonic Spree style, which is just very light and airy and psychedelic. More than anything, it feels psychedelic, which is one of the reasons I've always liked "Tripping Daisy" too. So
I'm going to look forward to that sample.
I will put that sample on there, actually, as I will the stuff from you. And if you want to hear some of the things that we talk about, folks, all you have to do is dip down into the description of however you're listening to and watching our podcast. You'll see a Spotify playlist, and that link will take you to that. So, Steve, later on, while you're packing up stuff, you can kind of jam out both the Budos Band and Polyphonic Spree if your turntable gets unhooked.
It's such a sad day.
So, Steve, you are in the midst of this binge. We'll call it a binge purge, because you binge when you go to a record show. You purge when you get home and you think you're boxing stuff up. So it's a binge and purge on the vinyl side of things. And I think it was earlier this week. You sent me an email and you said, "Here's the list." We talked before about your purge on the show here, and you and I have talked about it. About what do you do when you purge? It's a great concept for a lot of collectors to say, "I'm going to thin this collection down and get rid of it." When I do something like this, I've got a built-in outlet, so I'm not really the one to talk to. If I want to get rid of some records, I put a price tag on them and I put them on the shelf. You and other collectors are faced with a bit of a different dilemma when you do this, though, and you're at that level of this purge now where you're saying, "Okay, now I've got to get these things out of here because I'm moving and I'm going to get rid of them."
Yeah, and you just you know you're not going to get what you paid for. Okay, it's just not going to happen unless you have these super highly collectible ones, and even then, they're going to try to knock you down on what it's worth.
Darn record store owners and their profit margins.
Yes, and which I totally understand the profit margins and why, and so I don't get too upset. It's when they want to lowball you down for $1, because there's a lot of albums in here. There's some sealed stuff. Yeah. Oh boy, yeah. Way to go, Steve. You bought another one, huh? And there's just a lot of them that haven't been played that much. They're still in the shrink, and they're near mint. I mean, considering I started this collection in 2019 again, most of these are very fresh copies of. So you just don't want to say, you don't want to go too low with it. Yep. So, here's 200. I think we had 226. I added some more since I've been purging. Also go, 2 of those. Okay. And so I drop a few more in there. A Jesus Mary Chang cycle candy is like,
Hmm.
oh, I don't need it.
They just reissued
Uh,
that, I think, too, didn't they? Not too long ago.
yeah, they did. And Third Man has a nice box set. So it was looking at this and talking, and I did. I sent it to you to kind of get your opinion because I had the low price from Discogs, the medium, and the high. So I did a whole spreadsheet. Someone, comes in because I want to put the whole thing on Facebook Marketplace first, just to see what happens.
Yep.
Here's my price, and I'm looking at the medium price because if you're a record store, you could sell a lot of these for more
Hmm.
easily, especially if you're in Denver. That really doesn't, most places don't use the Discog medium price. It's higher
Yep.
constantly. Not every place. And I have found some ones that do very well. They don't do it. And it's so I don't, I've had people come in and say, hey, well, how about I take this album or this album, then I got to mail it out. And I just don't have time right now
Yep.
to do that. So it is kind of a quandary. I am hoping, just to put it out there, this is all or nothing. But then, what kind of bargaining are they going to have? I think, what was it? The medium price we're around $3,600.
I think so, yeah. And looking at your list when you sent
Yeah.
that. And
Mhm.
that's that, from this side of the fence. And yes, you're going to try to get the best deal you can if you're a record store owner, because you're going to mark these things up and move them out. The profit margin on the new vinyl is so thin that a lot of us try to make what we can on the used vinyl that comes in. But that being said, as a collector, you know what you've got into it, and especially
Mhm.
Discogs. When we did that episode on the values, you kind of get a better idea of what it is you're dealing with, and so it makes it very difficult when you say, "Here is what my median value says," to go down and say, "Well, I'll give you $1 a piece for those 200 albums, 220
Yeah.
albums, whatever," and then you're
And when you
really
look at
undercutting.
Discogs, yeah, when you look at Discogs at the low end price, good minus, missing a cover,
Yep.
whatever the case is, there's a reason why there's a low price on that. And it would make no sense to even go that low. If this doesn't work, as we talked about, Jim, it would just be bringing them in to record stores for trade-in value,
Hmm.
not to sell, but to trade it. It seems that I would probably spend that money. Uh,
Yep.
but here's 20 albums. I'll take that really nice, expensive one up on the wall for that. I would be able to get things, that I might want. I don't know. Maybe that's worth more than what, trying to sell them is.
Well, and again, from my standpoint, when people come in looking for quick cash, that's okay. I'll give you what I can. I try to be fair, and at the same time, I do have a business to
Mhm.
run. We've talked about this a lot, but I tend to be a little more gracious, I guess, in the valuation of things when people come in for trade, simply
Mhm.
because I know that this is a person who is a collector. They have decided that whatever reason that this no longer belongs in their collection, but we want to add something different. So I treat that a little bit differently, because it's not just somebody who said, I need some cash. I got these from somebody else. I want to get rid of them, type of thing. So I don't know if that sounds bad of me or not for people that just want to get rid of something on that case. But, knowing you're obviously a very serious collector, and you want these things to go somewhere where they'll be enjoyed, but at the same token, you need to get some return of your investment on them.
Yeah.
And that's why I said I think your first and foremost best bet, if you want to move a big chunk of records like this in that 226 range or whatever, how many you've got, to get rid of them all at once, you almost have to be expecting that you're going to take a markdown on what you've put into them.
Mhm.
That's just the price you pay to move a large bulk like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. And totally ready for that. I just, the low ball. I don't have to sell it. That's the thing. I don't have to. I I want to, because otherwise I'm just going to have to put them in storage boxes because I
Yep.
don't need them in my shelving. But I mean, I can spread them out to other record stores. Ones that I really like going to that generally have something that I really want.
And you mentioned the quandary that you're in too, to find an individual buyer. And this is why most people are going to say, "Well, I'll take this and this and this. I'll buy 30 of them from you." That defeats the purpose of you wanting to get rid of everything all at once. But to find an
Hmm.
individual buyer who's willing to take that big chunk of mixed genre at once is the difficult part. Whereas a record store would be more willing to take that, but also try
Absolutely.
to give you a lot less. So I feel for you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, the my if there's neighborhood record collectors, they're not going to really. Yeah, I'll drop down that big chunk of change I got just sitting around here because I want all those records.
But the
Yeah,
other thing, and
it's
I think we talked about this as well, being in a bigger metropolitan area like you are in Denver, there are a multitude of record stores. People in Midland here, they come to me and, well, where is there anywhere else I can take them? I said, well, Bay City or go down to Saginaw, but we're pretty much it right here. Whereas you've got more than a dozen, if not more, within
more.
reach.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there could be some competitive saying, well, these guys are willing to versus these guys.
Mhm. And the thing, if someone inquires, I can at least send them a spreadsheet.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Here's what's in here. And you can look at that. You can see what the pricing are, what I've graded them, and I grade conservatively.
Yep.
As soon as you open that seal, it's no longer mint. I don't believe in putting anything. Are they kind of what some people look at and say that's mint because they are. They're perfectly clean. They're sheathed. They got their plastic on them, but it's not to me. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see really what happens. I know I just saw recently on Facebook someone. I'm going to be starting a record store looking for things.
Mm.
So hey, I
Mm.
got a bolt punch right here.
Here's your instant
It's a
start,
nice
and
sound.
your startup fees could be covered. So let's see where you go.
Yeah, yeah. I just don't. I mean, some's great. Some's it's like yeah, okay, but it balances
Yep.
out.
Well, good luck on this, and I hope that you're able to move them for what you want. But like you said, if you need to, you'll probably get further taking them in batches of 20 to 30 for trade value somewhere than you would. But then they're sitting in a box somewhere in your garage, and you have to take the extra effort to do that multiple times to get rid of the same amount of records versus one.
Hmm. Yeah, a friend of mine here that I go out to record shows with, he has credit in a variety of places. He just brings this. He is on Discogs. He sells on Discogs, but if they don't buy him, he just brings them to the store and gets his credit because he knows I'm going to spend it.
Well, you just mentioned the record show. I guess that probably would have been another option for you to spend $100 or so for a table at a record show, but then you're still not selling the whole thing. You're partitioning
Yeah.
it out and walking away with several boxes of records that you didn't sell, and knowing you, ones that you added to by wandering around the show with the cash that you
Yes. I just got $20. I gotta run over.
so maybe the record show is not the best idea for you to farm those out.
Don't toss an addict into a drug bin and say, "Hey, try and sell your drugs there."
There you go. Be careful with that. You also mentioned this, and I just have this real quick story to share. It was just yesterday when I talk about somebody coming in, flopping down a record, looking for cash. A guy came in,
Mhm.
plopped down a copy of the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour, an original, put it on the counter, opened it up, started, thumbing through the attached booklet, which was no longer attached and ripped. And I went to go pull the vinyl out. He's, oh, don't touch it with your fingers. I'm like, come on, buddy. So I got the vinyl out and it was all scratched. He's like, it's in really great shape. And I didn't even ask what he wanted because I could tell he wanted like $100 for it. And it was scratched up. And I said, dude, this is $5 here in the store. Well, I'm just going to keep it then. All right. Thanks. Thanks for coming by. So, but I know you're
It
not
says
like
Beatles.
that.
Yeah, it says Beatles. It must be worth it.
There is the problem. I don't want to get into that again. Sorry. Yes, but your issue is one that I think, we'll keep an eye on and talk about it here because you've got so much happening at once between the
Mhm.
purge and the boxing. But I guess in a way, the move that you're taking, and you're just moving from one house in Denver to another, is probably it's a little fortunate that you've decided to purge while moving, because it's giving you the opportunity to go through everything with a fresh set
Yeah.
of eyes at that same time. But you're also seeing, now I've got to move this if I don't get rid of it.
Yes. Yeah, that sucks. But we're having to downsize a lot of stuff. I got furniture we got to get rid of. I mean, it's just going to be, yeah, it's going to be interesting, Jim.
Well, best of luck. If I were there, I'd help you out. I'll give you $1 a piece for those records, Steve, if you can ship them.
Okay.
What do you think?
That's great. Shipping's nothing anymore, you know. Just bring them the whole crate. Said, yeah, this is close to, you know, that special rate you get for shipping records and books.
I think I sent you a note that I still have about a dozen records that you brought into our store here when you moved out of Michigan to Colorado,
Yeah.
and that's been what, 3 years now, two
Uh-huh.
years. So
Shocking. You said 2 years, only 2 years, Jim.
okay. But I still have a few of them because I keep track of where they came from when I put them out.
Well, right now, if you sell them, all right. I don't even care. You know, just good job.
We'll do what we can. So, but yeah, if I do, it'll go toward your ongoing trade balance here. How's that?
That was a pretty good trade balance
It
at the
was.
start.
Well, it lasted.
Yes.
Hey, well, speaking of shocking things, so I mentioned, again, I try to be fair when people bring things into the store, and this case was no exception. I think I was very fair to the young man who came in a couple of weeks back with, I was probably about 60 or 70 records, and they were reissues for the most part. There was a couple of older 70s stuff, like a Santana stuff that goes out for $5-6 here at the store. But the majority were reissues, and contained in them were several reissues. This isn't like somebody who just got into it a year or two ago and then decided to give it up. I've had that come into the store before, and they get rid of stuff that's, 24, 20, 23, 24, 25 reissues. These were reissues from, I'd say, maybe 2002, 2003, to the 2010s, all the way through 2000. What was the one I hear? I have a 2014 that I was going to show off. And like I do whenever batches like this come in, I go to Discogs. I do use Discogs, folks, as my inventory, and I track that with inventory. Discogs probably wishes they could charge for that kind of a thing, but they make their money on the marketplace, so good on them. But I also use that obviously as the price guide too for the store, as lots do. You mentioned in Denver, they just skip that and go straight up the ladder. But whereas I try to keep it right in that median range, because I know, as you said, nothing is mint anymore unless it is still sealed. And I found sometimes that doesn't even matter, Mr. Pink Floyd back here. So you never know. But a funny thing happened when I started going through and putting these into Discogs to see what they were, identifying them and pricing them for the store. And I noticed that a great deal of, and I'll just start right off with this Prince album, Purple Rain, been reissued multiple times. And I think the most recent was maybe a 23 or 24 version. This lists for $25, manufactured suggested retail price in the store. Originals of Prince Purple Rain dating back to the 80s, Steve, I've moved in the store for upwards of $40 or $50 in pristine condition with the poster. And there is some other considerations. If it's got a certain inner sleeve, it makes it more rare on that original. What I didn't expect to find, though, was that a 2008 180-gram pressing would be worth $50 on the median side of Discogs. And that kind of threw me for a loop. I'm like, well, wait a minute. It's a reissue, which should probably, you'd think, would go under that $25 mark. But in this case, it did not. And I've got let me call up Discogs here very quickly, if I could, Steve. And, well, let's start with the Beatles. Actually, we'll get to Prince here in a second. The first one that I did find was a Beatles Revolver. And I don't have this here. I did sell that in the store. This has been, I lost count of the amount of times that this has been reissued. But even now, I think new reissue pressings of the Beatles Revolver, they're like $29, $30. And so if you're trading in that, you're going to get a lot less because it's open, and I'll put it out in the store for maybe $20, $23. The Beatles that I found was a 2014. It was a mono, And I think that that was right around when they were reissuing a lot of these anniversary versions of this. The one that I had was a worldwide press, so not just US or Europe. It was pressed and sent out everywhere. Median value on this thing came in at $90 with a high end of $175. And I couldn't quite wrap my head around why something of that era would be worth so much, other than maybe it's just at the beginning of that resurgence of vinyl. And so maybe these are a little more limited in the numbers that are pressed, or maybe a little more sought after by collectors, as opposed to, yes, the originals are out there and they're going to be worth a lot of money, and the reissues are out there and they're awful darn cheap if you want to get into them. But is this 2000 to 2015's a sweet spot for this?
I totally agree that it's due to limited press runs. No one was, you think in 2010, collectors was, vinyl was starting to come back. And as myself, I just went, what? There's records again? You didn't know that. So it was just the small batches of records coming out, sometimes on 180 gram. They were starting to do that to some extent. Supposedly better quality sound, I can't say. But as sales began to increase, okay, we can make a little bit more, but record companies were very hesitant. There wasn't many pressing plants or anything out there because of this. I mean, it was COVID that really made it take off.
Yep.
Other thing, especially when you think of 2010, in the 2010s, Record Store Day.
Mm-hmm.
So Record Store Day comes up. They give limited edition. They give colored editions, which colored vinyl was just kind of, wow, this is something different. Special releases that have now become very collectible.
Yep.
Out there from the 2010s. The Gen Z is a big part of this whole resurgence going on right now. Huge part of this. It's supposed, what I've read is Gen Z like to stream and then go, okay, I want to have this. They want the physical format, but they start with streaming. So they go through and they're starting to buy these maybe more rare pressings, shall we say. It's kind of fascinating, but you're right. In some cases, they're skyrocketing, in other cases, they're not.
Yep. And I think a lot of this, obviously, most of these, the recent ones, I've called up a 2022 reissue here of Revolver, which floats between $22 and $40. And I think this one, as I mentioned, lists for $30 in stores. It is a remastered version, remixed. I'm sorry, this is remixed in this case, whereas the 2014 mono version was a remaster from the original master tapes. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with it, how it's treated, how that reissue is done and how it's treated. But again, the time frame in there is just, I find it very, very odd. So here's the Prince one, Steve, that I called up. This particular one is a 2008 that we had in store from this. And it is an RTI pressing. So it's done at a record pressing plant here in the U.S., which has been around forever. And they do a really good job with stuff. But the Prince one, and I believe this, it has the insert. So it's a little poster lyric insert in there as well. Like the original, this thing floats between $50 and $100. And then they're available on Discogs now for up to $95. But it has sold for upwards of $100. Whereas the current versions of that still list for about $25, $26 in store. So this was another one of those ones that surprised me because, again, the originals, yes, you can get the occasional original that will float around $50, maybe sealed even upwards of 100 or more. But there's so many of those out there, and I think that you've hit the nail on the head. In that era, there was just fewer ones being pressed, like when you try to find something from the 90s when there was virtually nothing pressed. But the ones that were coming out in 90s weren't reissues like these were. And that's what kind of made me take a pause and like, okay, this is interesting that these are reissues commanding this much money, but just from this era.
Yeah, I want to show this. This is one. It's a little more rare in record circles. It's Fleetwood Mac's Rumors.
Yeah.
We usually don't see many of these out there. There's only 750 versions of this, ladies and
Oh
gentlemen.
man.
And I was surprised that's it, really. An original goes for around 31, anywhere from $20 to 31, depending on your pressing print, and that's medium. What I have here, this came out in 2011, and it is a record store day version from 2011. This one has a medium value of $40, so it's already above the original. That record store day in 2011 also had a 45 RPM one that came out. That has a medium price of $111.
Huh.
So way above. Now, Walmart came out with a repress of Rumors in 2019 worth $20. But then there was another RPM, 45 RPM that came out in 2020. That one's up to $70. Target, theirs is $22. So it kind of, you can see, Walmart and Target are going to make a lot. So it's easy to find.
Yep.
And so it's just not, there's no scarcity involved with it, but it does allow a lot of people to get the record, which is the whole purpose of it. It's not about making sure, but the record store day ones definitely commanded more because it's more scarce.
Indeed, it is. I've got another one here from 2014, and this is an interesting case study in this because there was another reissue on colored vinyl similarly just last year in November, and I'm talking here about Kate Bush and Hounds of Love, which saw a massive, massive resurgence lately because of their inclusion in the Stranger Things a couple of years back. Originals of this, they're through the roof. Absolutely, they're up there, and I looked it up, but I don't remember. But you're talking in the several $100 range for decent originals. This particular one that I had come in is a 2014 on pink and gray marbled vinyl, and this one has a median price of, it comes in right around $100 and upwards of almost $280 is where it goes on the high end of this. And the reissue from last year, just for as an example, is on purple vinyl. That tops out at about $50. Median's right around just under it. So it's fairly stable in through there. So you've got the year-old one, which is going to sound great. Maybe this one will have some value, and I don't know what the pressing numbers were. But also, this is an audio fidelity. So this one from 2014, that has a lot to do with it. This is an audiophile version of this that came out. So that has a lot to go with it as well. But we're still talking of that teens time frame in there for Hounds of Love. So you've got that triple threat of an original that's now through the roof, a resurgence based on popular pop culture currency happening, and the scarcity of a mid-teens pressing of this, all kind of coming together to say even this reissue is going to be crazy through the roof.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. I used to have those originals because they were super cheap. Super cheap. No one cared about Kate Bush back in the 80s. I mean, they did. She was popular. They made a lot of albums, but they were super cheap.
I'm looking real quick. So a first 1985 press in the UK. Holy cow, those are saying around the $50 mark. So now I don't know what to think. I said that they were super expensive, but now it doesn't appear to be.
Pressing. Yeah.
Jacksonville pressing 85. Okay, that's 50 to 150. So comparable with that reissue.
Mm-hmm. I thought, okay, I'm going to check Dark Side of the Moon. What do we got going on with Dark Side?
Oh cow!
Now,
no shortage.
1,506 versions of Dark Side of the Moon.
Wow.
1,506. All right. But now, like you, and ladies and gentlemen, we're only looking at least myself, U.S. pressings. I'm only looking at U.S. pressings. A lot of times UK versions become worth a lot of money, at least in the U.S. I don't know about over the UK. But so an original right now of a UK prep, we're just going to say around $37 to $45. That's a couple different pressings of an original for medium price. For the most part, in the 2010s and 2016, they reissued it about $30. Yeah, 2022, $30. We're talking medium. So the original's still going. Then comes in the world of collectability, Jim.
Yep.
And what was and this is just recent, but 2024 they had that 2 LP collection edition.
Yep.
You and I both bought that. Medium price of $99 now.
Wow.
And it goes up much more. But overall, I found that on Dark Side, an original generally still goes for more money than the represses. But they weren't doing any crazy colors with it. And that was the difference of rumors. We're changing things up, and for the most part, Dark Side was just the regular thing. Then Pink Floyd sold their rights,
Yep.
and now comes the fun stuff. I don't know why Floyd didn't think. Maybe they just didn't care.
Well, it's now owned by a larger corporate entity and not controlled as a cooperative between the band rights holders and the label. So that's why we're seeing so many of these Floyd concerts. Like they're going to start hitting all of these bootleg concerts, and Steven Wilson's going to clean them all up, and we're going to get Record Store Day releases from now until the end of eternity of all of these other Floyd shows that were given crappy bootlegs.
Right. So, when you get right back there, Jeff, just hold off. It's coming.
Dang. I did find one that was not the case, where a mid 2000s, and let me call this one up here, Steve. This is Black Sabbath and Paranoid. Originals of this can vary depending upon UK or US and the condition, but they could go upwards of $50 to $100 if you've got the right green label Warner originals. Those are very, very nice. But this one I called up, and I do have, I think, not quite this in store. I've got a $30 one. This is a very recent repress of Paranoid from Black Sabbath. But the one that I called up from the mid-teens was a 2010 version, and that floats between $30 and $45. It's 180 gram black vinyl, nothing special about it. Just kicked it out. But last year, Rhino High Fidelity kicked out a single LP version of this on their hi-fi sound that is floating just from last year between $40 and $100 roundabouts to get that reissue of that, and those were limited. So maybe that's not always the case, and this lends to the argument saying, okay, maybe it's to the quality of the press, maybe it's the rarity of the numbers, and the time frame doesn't come in because the brand new ones list price for whatever they are. This one from 2010, nothing special, but a high fidelity version current is fetching a lot more. So that proves the exact opposite of what I was trying to get to.
Well, all right, here's a favorite, Jim. Dead
Love it.
Milkman, Big Lizard in My Backyard.
Yes, sir.
Now, these originals are expensive.
Yep.
An original goes a medium price, and there's only 22 pressings of this. That's it, ever made. 22 when you think about CDs and everything.
Yep.
So an original pressing is $110. Again, I think it's just because it's not out there. In 2014, there was the first time they showed up on Record Store Day in 2014. There was a green version that now goes for a medium price of $100. So just about the same as an original. They also issued a yellow version that, for whatever reason, only went for $70. Don't understand that.
Yep.
2018, it came back out again in green vinyl, $65. So I mean, this is higher than you would normally find on other prices. 2021, there was another green vinyl version, $97. And then the one that you bought last year for a Record Store Day, I believe you bought it. I says, I got an original. That already has a medium price of $110.
Wow. And that's with the lenticular cover, which I'm very happy with still.
Yes. It goes more than an original now. That's price
amazing.
So,
and I do have an original somewhere buried in. But that's something else. Yeah, I don't know why my original is not showing up there. But yeah, that's comparable. But I think that the extra one, that had some extra stuff on it, as I recall, too, the Record Store Day one.
Sure. There was, I just want to throw another one out here. I looked at the White Stripes. Their very first album came out in 1999. There was two versions of it. One version has a medium of 65, another version of $122
Hmm.
medium price. In 2010, it was reissued in red and white split. It goes now for a medium of $229.
Wow.
Blew away, but it's colored vinyl, so again it has that excitement. Third Man reissued it on their Third Man Record Club thing in 2017. That one goes for $91, so it became collectible. uh, Otherwise the most recent reissue $50, but yeah, if something special comes out and it's limited, I think collectors now, or people, this isn't our everyday person out there going, I'm going to get that. I think there's just more people look at the value or collectability. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but they say, okay, this is a little more rare. I look at the price some of these records go for at these auctions out
Oh
there.
yeah.
It-
The live
People have,
auction ones.
yeah, some folks have a lot of money to spend and they're willing to jack it up, and then crap. No, that
Well,
price went up.
to me, Steve, this is a two-sided coin. If you're a collector and you want to get a hold of something that is rare, or something collectible, something that is there, make sure you're looking very carefully at when. And I guess this goes for sellers too. I just do this out of nature. I've done it all this time that we've had the store. I find out what it is before I put it out there, because it could be
Mhm.
something really rare that somebody wants to get a hold of. Not that I'm trying to make a fortune on it, but I just want to make sure that it is what it is, because I've got that reputation of saying, I know what these are. You can be
Yeah.
confident if you're buying this from me that this is what I say it is. But from the collector standpoint, you got to be careful if somebody's trying to pass something off as, a newer reissue, like a very cheap new reissue of something. And they say, oh, well, this one is worth X amount of money because I found it somewhere else that said it was worth money. No, you have to determine which version it is and go
Yep.
be careful on that from both the buyer and seller standpoint. So if you're a seller, you know what you're getting rid of and you're putting a fair price on it. But if you're a buyer, you don't want to get taken for somebody who is misrepresenting what a particular version of something is versus that. Now, it's easy to sell sometimes if it's an original. It's older, it's beat up, it's a little ratty. But with the reissues, especially when they're coming through in the early 2000s, the 10s, and now into the 20s, and there's multiple versions. You pick Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, so many
Mhm.
different versions out there. You have to be certain about what it is you're looking for and what you're getting.
Oh, a couple years ago at a record show, I bought a Modern Lovers album. And they had a first press. Okay, so pretty excited. Got the first press. Now I did not know I needed the numbers or whatever I did. And I just took the word first press. I go home, it's a second press. There's a big difference in price between
Yep.
first press and second press. It wasn't made. I mean, it was made. Might have been even could have came out that same year or whatever. It's a second press, and so it's just got burned on that one because of that. If I decide, if I wanted to take the time and sell all these records on Discogs and just do it individually, I could make a lot more money.
Yep.
I could charge a lot more because people are willing to do that. And, get whatever. I mean, there's first presses in there. That would be exciting because of the collectability of some of that. But it's time.
It's time and effort, and you don't do it for a living like some of us do, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
the backside of that is that I don't sell on Discogs currently, and we've talked about the hows and whys and why I don't do that, but I still utilize it as a tool, obviously, and maybe I'll come around to selling on that. But coming back to what I said earlier, it was just I guess I probably knew in the back of my mind that some of these pressings from the early 2000s, now we're 26 years in, 20 years in, if you're going a little bit further, it makes sense that those would be worth a little bit more because of the scarcity of the pressing at that time. Things were just taking back off, just like we said in the 90s. But as I mentioned earlier, any pressings from the 90s are going to be first pressings for the most part, not everything, but for the most part of those 90s groups coming out. And that's why you get a Nirvana that's worth 4 digits coming through
Yeah.
there in the original versus the other pressings current now in the $20, $30 range. So again, folks, I'm just saying, make sure it is you know what you're looking for if you're buying something that's opened. Is it a 180 gram? Is it a limited? Is it colored vinyl? What are you getting inside of there, and making sure that you know what it is and you're paying the right amount for it.
It's a good point, because it's a so many things with Walmart, Target jumping in, massive amounts going out there. It's a huge difference.
Well, I think that will probably do it, Steve. But I think I'd like to ask our viewers and listeners, what do you think? Is that another new found sweet spot for vinyl collecting in that early 2000s, now that we're a quarter century in? Do I need to really start paying that much more attention? It's like, oh, nuts. Okay, this is a reissue, but what reissue is it? But does that surprise you? Like it surprised me, and it shouldn't have surprised me. Maybe it was just my tiredness from Record Store Day and everything, because this came in very close to Record Store Day, and I was not thinking straight. But here nor there, it's still something cool to find and something to really dig further into.
Yeah, yeah, very interesting, Jim. Yeah, good topic, because it's very timely for people out there buying.
Indeed. All right, Steve. Well, I'm going to wish you luck with both your purge and the attempt to farm out your records in one big chunk. I hope that somebody comes forward locally and says, you know what, I need an instant record collection from Steve Carlson, and they dive right into it, and then they fork over what you're looking for.
Yeah. Oh boy, I'm hoping that some record store will deal with them. We'll see what happens. If not, we'll go to Plan B, and I'll probably make out better.
Plan C would be an addition to the addition of the house.
Yeah. Yes.
I think a garden shed music library would work for you.
There's a big garden shed out there. Maybe that's it.
There we go. Move the mower outside. You don't need it.
Yep.
All right, Steve. Well, thank you very much for checking out today. And folks, thanks for watching and listening to two guys talking about records. Until next time, my name is Jim, and I own a record store.
And I'm Steve, a record collector.
Have a great one, Steve. Thanks, everybody.
Yep. Yeah, Jim. Bye, everyone.